Hi, this is Steve Worona, and you're listening to Campus Public Safety Online from the National Center for Campus Public Safety. Before I introduce today's session, here's a brief orientation to the Adobe Connect interface we're using. Your browser right now is showing the title slide for today's talk. On the left side of your screen, you'll see a box labeled Questions and Comments where you can read and type messages. There's a tab labeled Everyone at the bottom of this box, and that's the tab you'll use for all of your general messages, including questions and comments for our speakers. We'll be breaking for discussion several times during the presentation, so please do not hold your questions to the end. You can also send direct messages to a specific person by hovering your cursor over a name in the attendee list. One of those names is Technical Help, and that's the place to go if you run into technical problems. We're also monitoring Twitter for your questions and comments. Use hashtag #NCCPSWebinar. If you missed part of today's conversation, or if you want to see some or all of it again, this webinar is being recorded and captioned. The link will be available on the NCCPS Webinars page in about a week. And watch your email for a link to a brief evaluation survey requesting your reactions and comments on today's session. Please take a minute to respond to that survey when the link arrives. We do appreciate your feedback. And now for our presentation. Our nation's post-secondary institutions are entrusted to provide a safe and healthy learning environment for students, faculty, and staff who live, work, and study on campus. Faced with emergencies ranging from active shooter situations to fires, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and pandemic influenza, this is no easy task. Many of these emergencies occur with little to no warning. Therefore, it's critical for institutions of higher education to plan ahead to help ensure the safety and general welfare of all members of the campus community. Today, we're going to hear about the services, resources, and support systems provided to IHEs by the Readiness and Emergency Management for Schools Technical Assistance Center. That's the REMS TA Center. And we have two expert speakers to give us that information. Madeline Sullivan is a management and program analyst in the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Safe and Healthy Students. She serves as the contracting officer's representative for the REMS TA Center. Prior to joining the federal government workforce, Madeline provided technical assistance on pro-social skill development, violence prevention, and school emergency management after having served as a special educator. Janelle Hughes is the Director of Communications for the REMS TA Center. In that role, she provides IT and graphic design management, writing, editing, and overall resource development support for various tools focused on school safety and emergency preparedness topics. This includes developing emergency operations plans, reinforcing positive school climates, and understanding the National Preparedness System and its 5 mission areas: prevent, protect, mitigate, respond, and recover. Madeline Sullivan and Janelle Hughes, welcome to Campus Public Safety Online. Janelle, I believe you're going to kick things off.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much, and hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. As Steve mentioned, my name is Janelle Hughes, and I'm the Director of Communications at the REMS TA Center. During today's event, presenters from the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Safe and Healthy Students and the REMS TA Center will showcase the REMS TA Center website and the sections it houses to support institutions of higher education, also known as IHEs, as well as describe key resources that have been developed by federal partners in higher education safety, security, and emergency management to support the development of high-quality EOPs. You will have the opportunity to pose questions to our presenters in various question and answer sessions that will happen throughout the webinar. And you can also be prepared to propose questions via our community of practice. We will be hosting a chat after the event. We hope you join us. This webinar is being recorded, and we will make it available on the REMS TA Center website via our webinars page. Links to the webinar will be provided following the event. Thank you, Steve, for the formal introductions. Again, I am joined today by my colleague, Madeline Sullivan, who is a Management and Program Analyst in the Department of Education's Office of Safe and Healthy Students. We truly appreciate you taking the time to join us for today's webinar, and please remember that we're always here, not just during this webinar, to answer questions that you have and to provide support. Let's take a moment to go over the agenda for today's webinar. Madeline will first provide an overview of the REMS TA Center and our website, as well as the guide developed by federal agencies to support the development of high-quality higher ed emergency operations plans, also known as EOPs. I will then describe some of the resources, trainings, and tools that we offer to help IHEs working to enhance overall emergency preparedness. And then we'll close things out by sharing details on opportunities to collaborate and connect. And again, we'll take questions throughout the event, so as Steve mentioned, please don't hesitate to hold them till the end. I'm going to turn things over to Madeline now. Madeline?
Thank you so much, Janelle, and thank you everyone for joining us. The REMS TA Center was established in October 2004 by the U.S. Department of Education, and it's administered by the Office of Safe and Healthy Students, also known as OSHS. This is to serve two critical functions: to support a safe and supportive learning environment for children, faculty, staff, and others. We, one, build the preparedness capacity, including prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery efforts of schools, school districts, and institutions of higher education, as well as their community partners with roles and responsibilities in safety at the local, state, and federal levels. Two, we serve as the primary source of information dissemination for schools, school districts, and IHEs for emergencies via the REMS TA Center website. The REMS TA Center serves institutions of higher education, including community colleges, universities, and technical schools. We also serve schools and school districts and local educational agencies and their community partners. So that is to say those law enforcement, public safety officials, health and mental health agencies, all of those who have responsibilities before, during, and after with the goal of maintaining that safe campus, safe school environment. And then there's also those other stakeholders in higher ed and K-12 emergency preparedness, such as grantees and families and nonprofit organizations. A great way to review all of the support and services we provide is by visiting our website at https://rems.ed.gov. So that's REMS, short for Readiness and Emergency Management for Schools. This slide displays a screenshot of our homepage. We update it frequently to highlight new TA Center projects and products, as well as resources and information that's important to the field. So when you look at that box on the left, this provides quick links to the actions many visitors take when they visit our website, such as requesting TA or technical assistance, or an on-site training, or even to take a virtual training, such as view an archived webinar or take an online course, or to use one of our emergency operations plans, EOP, tools, interactive tools. The center box, that profiles information critical to the development of an EOP for both schools and IHEs. So here you can see the joint guidance highlighted, a link to more information to each of the TA Center's main stakeholder audiences as well. You'll see the blue navigation bar across the top of that page. This also provides tabs with drop-down menus for accessing information specific to the stakeholder audience, as well as by the type of assistance needed. And then finally, on the right, that box on the right, this showcases news and highlights. We update this frequently to highlight new resources from us and from our partners in school and higher ed safety, security, and emergency management, which we call preparedness, as well as to share information about issues and trends in the field. One resource to help with higher ed planning efforts is the Guide for Developing High-Quality Emergency Operation Plans for IHEs. For short, we call this the IHE Guide. This was jointly produced and issued by the Department of Ed, Department of Justice, and led by FBI, with the Department of Homeland Security, led by its FEMA office, as well as HHS. So you can access either a PDF version of the IHE Guide in its entirety, or you can take a look at the web-based or HTML-based at-a-glance version, which is on the REMS TA Center website. So the IHE guide includes 8 planning principles, 6-step planning process, and a description of the preparedness missions, which I'll describe to you in greater detail throughout this presentation. One reason you might want to consider looking at the at-a-glance section is as we break it down into these larger categories and then even smaller parts, you'll see at the bottom left an opportunity to click on related resources, and a pop-up box will show you numerous resources from our federal partners and their training and technical assistance services on that particular topic. So in support of the IHE guide section of the same name, A Closer Look, we also have this web page that provides additional information on 1, the Clery Act, 2, information sharing, 3, incorporating international students into IHE, emergency management and planning, 4, campus public safety, 5, active shooter situations, 6, psychological first aid, and 7, the National Incident Management System. I'm going to turn things over now to Janelle, who's going to highlight additional services that we offer.
Thank you, Madeline. I'll take some time now to describe some of the resources, training, and tools that we offer to help IHEs working to enhance overall emergency preparedness. And then we'll close things out by sharing details on opportunities to collaborate and connect. Via our website, institutions of higher education and their partners can access tools and information in a variety of formats and on a variety of topics. And Madeline just described some of those topics in detail, and we're constantly updating our site based on issues and trends in the field as well as technical assistance requests to make sure that we're thinking about all of the key topics that will impact institutions of higher education working to enhance preparedness. This includes topical web pages, publications, webinars, online courses, and on-site trainings by request. And we'll discuss each of these in detail now. To access these resources, you will take a look at the Technical Assistance tab. So as Madeline mentioned while describing our homepage, you will see that blue bar along the top. You click that, and you can also access the technical assistance via the quick links section of the navigation bar, and that will allow you to access several of the resources that we will describe today, including technical assistance, our community of practice, which is our virtual space for all stakeholders in the field, resources, and other tools and training. Our topic-specific resources section is one of the newest sections on our website, and we recently updated this section to include the newest resources from the REMS TA Center, the Department of Education, and our federal and national partners in emergency preparedness. This section houses resources on planning basics and principles, emergency management functions, and hazards and threats. These resources are for schools, school districts, institutions of higher education, and their community of partners so that they can use them to prepare for, respond to, and recover from a variety of hazards and threats. And again, we constantly update this section of our site to ensure that it's featuring the newest resources from ourselves and our partners. We also have a number of publications and resources that the REMS TA Center creates on an annual basis, including fact sheets, which are short, in-depth examinations of current and emerging issues in higher ed emergency management. Some of our most recent fact sheets for the higher ed community include managing donations and volunteers before, during, and after school and campus emergencies. And we also hosted a webinar on this topic, and we do encourage you to visit the webinars page of our site to take a look at those resources. It also includes a fact sheet on preparing for study abroad emergencies for higher ed and K-12 populations, which definitely could be a relevant topic during this time of year and during the upcoming fall semester. That also includes a fact sheet on mitigation and resilience strategies for schools and institutions of higher education, a topic that's relevant year-round. And lastly, a fact sheet on cybersecurity considerations for institutions of higher education, which is also a topic that is relevant no matter the time of year. The REMS TA Center also hosts webinars just like this one on an ongoing basis. Many feature presentations from federal experts, subject matter experts, and practitioners in the field, and this could include experts on the national or local level. Upcoming events and links to register for future events can be found via the virtual trainings page, which is under the technical assistance tab. So again, that's that blue bar along the top of our website. And then you can also click on the webinar subtitle once you access the virtual trainings page. All of our webinars are archived on the TA Center website as well. And our archived presentations include slides and supporting resource documents, and they are available for free and download at any time. The webinars listed on the slide are just a sample of some of the TA Center's more recent webinar offerings, but again, we do encourage you, when you have a moment, to visit our webinars page so that you can view the full cadre of webinars that we offer to the field. The REMS TA Center also offers virtual trainings in the form of online courses. So again, our virtual trainings, we have categorized them as webinars and as online courses. Our online courses are self-paced, and we have one specifically for the higher ed community on developing emergency operations plans. And this, again, is available, as are all of our resources, free of charge at any time. And this course is designed to help provide higher ed emergency management practitioners to get an overview of the basics related to developing an EOP. The TA Center also provides trainings by request, which we refer to as TBRs, and if you follow us on Twitter, you might also see us use the hashtag REMS on the road, and that is the hashtag that we use when we are in the field attending live trainings such as our TBRs, as well as national and local events and conferences. All of our trainings, again, just like everything else, are available at no charge to institutions of higher education across the country. And thank you to all of the IHE representatives who have joined us today. And we look forward to visiting your state or locality if you have an interest in hosting a training. We offer both 4-hour Train the Educator and 8-hour Train the Trainer programs, providing participants with an overview of the new federal guidance, the latest federal guidance that provides recommended planning processes and key considerations for creating, revising, and enhancing higher ed EOPs. And again, that refers to the Guide for Developing High-Quality EOPs for Institutions of Higher Education, which is the joint guide that was developed in 2014 by federal partners related to school EOP development. During the IHE 101 trainings, participants will receive a high-level introduction to the 6-step planning process that's recommended by the federal partners, including forming a collaborative planning team, understanding the situation, developing goals, objectives, and courses of action, and planning, preparation, review, approval, and maintenance. Okay, and we're going to take a break now and dive into some of the questions.
Thanks, Janelle. You are listening to Campus Public Safety Online, and today's guests are Madeline Sullivan and Janelle Hughes, and we are hearing about the REMS TA Center. If you have questions or comments for either of our speakers, just type them into that blank line at the bottom of the chat box that says questions and comments, and we'll present them during the breaks that we have scheduled during the presentation. Question came in, how does REMS TA work in conjunction with DHS, Homeland Security, and FEMA to reduce redundancy of effort? Who wants to take that one on?
Thank you. I'll begin with that one. So as a first step in everything we do, we connect with our partners across the federal government, primarily those from the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, Justice and FBI, HHS, the CDC, and the Department of Agriculture. As additional topics come up, we also work with agencies such as Department of Transportation and the Environmental Protection Agency. Since we're working off of joint guidance, it's very nice now because we're able to easily use a common framework and use terminology that's consistent from stakeholder to stakeholder. And then also using these two common pieces, it's nice because it allows each agency's perspective to enhance our work together and shine through. We have a biweekly group that meets most often. It's biweekly. We've all been a little busy this year, but still we have met about 90% of the time. And then we also carry on with email conversations, and then they participate in our activities, and similarly we participate in theirs and provide them information and resources when there are applicable topics. So Janelle, did you want to add anything or give an example of one of our recent collaborations that we've done through the REMS TA Center?
Sure. Thank you so much, Madeline. As Madeline mentioned, we are truly working on a monthly and sometimes biweekly basis with Department of Homeland Security as well as other federal partners on to reduce redundancy of effort. And we often communicate for related to the development of resources. And one of the most recent collaborations was related to a virtual training that we held last month on use of social media during disasters. And we actually worked with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and their Science and Technology Directorate to just talk to state and local practitioners about this topic and others. We've also worked with the Department of Homeland Security and some of our other federal partners on the development of resources for higher education, as well as those that we featured during our fact sheet and publication slides. So again, that's fact sheets on managing donations and volunteers. We worked a lot in collaboration with FEMA on development of that fact sheet, just to ensure that, again, there is not a lot of redundancy of effort, or that the information that we're sharing is in compliance with each other. And we are always looking at ways that we can continue to collaborate. Madeline, is there anything else that I've missed with that?
I was just thinking about the Department of State, all the work we've done with them, and that we're about to do in particular as it relates to trafficking. But they have been such great partners as we create materials for the higher ed audience and their students and their faculty in regards to studying abroad and working abroad, but ways to make sure, one, that the main campus's plan provides for all of those students abroad and has in place communication mechanisms and alert and notification push mechanisms and a wide variety of important considerations that build from the everyday practices that are both in place at the main campus as well as in place supporting those students and faculty abroad.
Thanks for that very comprehensive answer from both of you. I think I'm going to let you get back to the presentation. Keep those questions coming, though. We've got a couple more breaks coming. We will not lose any of your questions. But Janelle, I believe you're going to move on to the next segment.
Yes, I'm actually going to turn things back over to Madeline now to highlight our EOP interactive tools. Madeline?
Thank you, Janelle. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. And along that note, I'm very sincere, and I know Janelle and her team is sincere as well. We love hearing from you. We love working with you. We love responding to any of your requests. And please know we're always here and ready to be of support to you. Okay, so the REMS TA Center is pleased to offer a suite of emergency management planning tools to both schools, school districts, and institutions of higher ed, as well as your state education agencies and your regional agencies, as well as those community organizations with whom you work and those that support you. And this is for any level of experience in emergency management, and it's all about helping you develop emergency operations plans, or EOPs, revise them, or even continually enhance them as you build your capacity and you engage in more and more learning opportunities, and best of all, as you find strategies and ways to align your planning practices with those at the national, state, and local levels. As much as this makes things easy to What alignment is good for a number of reasons, especially when it comes to coordination and communication and such, but it most importantly enables integration, which is critical in the moments of a disaster. So it allows for that seamless integration and that seamless expandability of the resources, including people who are there to help. Now, one of our first tools in our suite of interactive resources is the EOP Assess. So this is a web-based or an HTML-based self-assessment tool, and it's designed to help individuals involved in emergency management planning assess their understanding of the elements that are critical to the process of creating and maintaining high-quality EOP. So the TA Center offers this tool in two formats, one specific for K-12 as well as one that's specific to higher ed. So as a user, you'll be guided through a series of questions that are relevant to the planning process for EOPs. And upon completion, a downloadable report providing customized information will be provided to the user. And this is aimed at enhancing the user's knowledge of the EOP planning process, as well as the available resources that match those areas where they can learn more. Now, second tool is the EOP Evaluate. So this, again, is an HTML-based tool or a web-based tool. And this is designed to help planning teams or the IHEs to evaluate their already established EOP. So it follows the framework and puts forth and builds from those key concepts and principles put forth in the IHE guide as a foundation. And then from there, tool users will be prompted through that 6-step planning process that's put forth in the guides to determine whether there are areas where the existing EOP can be strengthened or improved. So for example, after using the tool, planning teams might recognize a need to adjust their plan to scale down that number of planning team members, but also diversify the type of partners at the same time. Or it might help them prepare more specific goals or customized courses of action that respond to the potential threats and hazards that the campus and the school building face. Or it might prompt them to conduct more specific assessments, whether that be a climate assessment, a threat assessment, or a capacity assessment. And finally, it might identify some more trainings or exercises or types of drills that the planning team should put forth in their exercise plan. Last fall, the REMS TA Center released a brand new free tool. It's a secure mobile app or mobile application, and it's for use by educational entities or agencies and entities as they conduct their site assessment. And it's called Site Assess. It's compatible with both iOS and Android mobile services. This secure and comprehensive mobile app will provide that critical information about potential threats and hazards in the community, which can be used by the planning teams as they develop their all hazards EOP. It allows the teams to customize questions within the site assessment for their campus and their building, as well as allows them to take into account those state and local requirements. And it equips practitioners with the information and knowledge about fundamental site assessment topics such as crime prevention through environmental design and universal design. And when we say universal design, we're talking about those access and functional needs that you'll find in a diverse population. Best of all, this complements and supports your mitigation and prevention activities. And when used over time, it'll show growth, or in this case, capacity building successes. So data can be exported as a Word document or an Excel or an Excel worksheet for record-keeping purposes. This allows for easy integration of reports and aggregation of planning data at the local and regional levels for those schools that have multiple campuses, but also from the perspective of a campus planner, it allows that data or aggregation of data from building to building. This data can also be exported as a mobile app file so that site assessment teams composed of multiple users can be walking around together and contributing to that same assessment. Please note that the team members need to update the same mobile data before sending it on to the next team member, though. So the U.S. Department of Education, you should know that neither the U.S. Department of Education, the Office of Safe and Healthy Students, or the REMS TA Center will ever see, collect, or store any of the data that you enter into SiteAssess. So all of that information is stored on the specific mobile device, and it's not stored on the REMS TA Center or the Department of Education's website or server. And another thing to consider is that during the installation portion, users will be prompted to provide that basic contact information. This is only information that will be transmitted to the REMS TA Center from the app. So it's just the school name and the person's name, and this is going to help us with providing support if it's needed when you contact us for technical assistance. So please note, you can download this free mobile app by accessing the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. The current version of SiteAssess was designed specifically for K-12 schools, public and non-public, as well as school districts. So it doesn't contain some areas that are commonly found at IHEs, such as dormitories or medical facilities or child care centers, or even those biosafety and research labs, or even medical facilities and research facilities, yeah. But it is certainly possible, however, for the IHEs for you to use parts of the app to conduct a site assessment. SiteAssess contains over 1,300 questions, so there's many topics that overlap between K-12 and higher ed audiences, such as aquatic facilities, classrooms, lighting, windows, landscaping, elevators, restrooms, those mechanical rooms, sport fields, security cameras, building, campus access control, and emergency response equipment. In fact, we've already heard from many IHEs in the field that they found it useful in their work. So remember, this app, we designed it so it would easily allow users to skip questions if they don't apply, and customize it as it reflects their unique buildings and their unique campus. So an IHE can skip a particular question that is specific to K-12 and not applicable on campus. Furthermore, the assessment is searchable by terms so that users can easily find an area of a facility that they would like to examine. And then lastly, this app is customizable, so you can always add your own questions directly into the tool. Now, if you have any recommendations for sections or considerations specifically for IHEs to be added to SiteAssess, please reach out and please let us know. And even too, if you'd like to share portions of your own site assessment tool, please feel free to send it to us. We're always interested in hearing how we can improve our tools to better serve both schools and IHEs across the nation. So we'll certainly consider all of your suggestions as we work to enhance SiteAssess this year. EOPS Assist is a web-accessible software application that generates a customized EOP. This app, once again, it very closely aligns with the federal guidance, or that joint guidance, for developing high-quality EOPs. And it was designed collaboratively to lead users through the recommended 6-step planning process, to provide users with resources to support throughout the process, and to generate an EOP that's not just based on the joint guidance, but it is based on common information and tools used by each of the stakeholders and partners with roles and responsibilities in both maintaining that plan, but also protecting the campus. So again, please note that this was designed for K-12 schools, not IHEs, and was developed according to the school guide, not the IHE guide. While both guides utilize the same six-step planning process that results in the same traditional format of an EOP, once again, you can keep in mind that the tool allows for customization. So although the EOP Assist does not contain references or information on the Clery Act, you can still use the information provided in the webinar or in that A Closer Look section and come up with an annex or integrate the topic via the app. And then in contrast to some other plan generator tools, EOP Assist emphasizes the process for creating an EOP, not just the final product. So that said, EOP Assist will ultimately generate a plan that's exported into a Word document once the users complete the six-step process. But it will enable the users to further edit and customize and build those annexes that meet their needs. Their needs meaning the campus, the buildings, and the school community, both those on campus, living nearby campus, or even those that commute or participate virtually.
And are we ready to take some questions now?
We are. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, we have one. In addition to the National Center for Campus Public Safety's Emergency Management Needs Assessment Survey that you coordinated on last year, how else do you work with IHEs to determine what their needs are?
Madeline, I can take that if you'd like.
Sure.
Thank you so much for that great question. We actually do a combination of monitoring inquiries that we receive via our technical assistance email and phone number, as well as conducting constant outreach to other sources, such as the Disaster Resilient Universities Network, for which we are members, to determine the emergent needs in the field. We also present at and attend conferences to learn about emergent needs and facilitate involvement and discussions in our community of practice from IHE practitioners. So I hope that answers your question, Madeline. Did you want to add anything to that?
Thank you, Janelle. And then again, we always work across the government with our partners, with both the actual employees as well as their service providers, such as the National Center. And so we will also tap into those partnerships and relationships that the other federal agencies have. And ultimately, we like to bring them together as much as possible.
Thomas Graham wonders, how does REMS work in conjunction with the DHS Campus Resilience Program that was released last month?
Hi, thank you. There are folks in the department who participate with the Office of Academic Engagement, and then I do as well. And then we have bridged, we've created a bridge between them and the REMS TA Center as well. And so so for example, when they got their new resource, then when they put out their new resources recently, we helped disseminate them and such. But as to the specific contents, if you ever would like to share feedback with us or them, we can certainly help with that.
George
did
Marshall,
you have something?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'm good. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thanks. George Marshall wonders, do you anticipate developing Site Assess and EOP Assist for IHEs?
So I'll begin that question, that response, and then Janelle, I encourage you to speak up as well. So we are interested in doing that, and we're just want to know if whether or not the folks in the higher ed field would be interested in us further developing it so that it more reflects a higher ed campus and community. So for those of you who are interested, I encourage you to send us an email, give us a call, or go on Twitter. And then more importantly, let us know what categories are most important to you, and then let us know which tools you use. So for example, when we developed this original version of the app, we went to all of our federal partners and got their tools, and then we went and found the most commonly used tools by schools. We put them all together, and we added all sorts of additional expertise from ourselves. So for example, the application of universal access, most of that is novel and it's from us. And so then from there, we removed any duplicate questions, and then we looked at them closely, and we asked, well, does this really reflect a school? Yes, no, and we tried to customize it accordingly. So if you also want to share your tool, then we can help that. It will help us as we do the comparison to ensure we're really creating a higher ed centered tool as opposed to using something that was developed for a shopping mall and putting higher ed on it.
Let me squeeze one more question in during this break. Somebody actually took you up on your challenge and went to your website and did a bunch of looking around and was able to find publications from 2012 and from 2014 and is wondering, is there newer material or is that, did he or she find what there is?
Madeline, I can answer that one.
Sure.
I'm thinking that the guest is likely looking at the federal guidance, which although that was written in some of the other materials written before 2013, we did review them in 2013 to ensure that they were aligned with the new guidance and recommendations from federal partners. And in the subsequent years, we have been developing shorter and more action-oriented tools and resources such as fact sheets and other resources to better meet the needs of our practitioners. So we do encourage everyone to ensure that they visit the resources section of our site, and that's accessible via the technical assistance tab. And via that tab, you will be able to access the topic-specific resources section of our site, as well as the publications page, which we are actually in the process of updating right now. And you can always check out the homepage of our website, where we always share our newest tools and resources that we are releasing. Madeline, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think you did a fantastic job, Janelle, so thank you kindly.
Tremendous. Okay, I'll let you get back to your presentation. And Madeline, I believe you're kicking off the next segment.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, thank you, Stephen, but I'm going to turn things back over to Janelle now, and she's going to highlight opportunities to collaborate and connect with the REMS TA Center as you work with your planning team to enhance IHE preparedness in your state and your locale. Janelle?
Thanks, Madeline. So there are various opportunities to connect with your fellow practitioners and, of course, with us, including our community of practice, our toolbox, our responsive technical assistance email and phone number, as well as social media, the various announcements that we send, and our quarterly newsletter. And we'll discuss each of them in more detail now. The REMS TA Center's Community of Practice is a virtual discussion forum for representatives from schools, school districts, institutions of higher education, and their community of partners. In this case, this also includes the entire campus community, so that might include families, caregivers in the case of schools and school districts, as well as just other community partners who are there to strengthen campus preparedness and resilience. With more than 1,000 members, the COP offers a unique opportunity to collaborate on special projects, to share news and resources, and to discuss trends and ideas with fellow practitioners and stakeholders in the field. Everyone and anyone with an interest in this field should sign up for the community of practice and share the opportunity to just learn and to network with other like-minded professionals as well. We do encourage you to log on and answer the school and campus safety questions of the month, which we post on a monthly basis, and they're designed to glean perspectives from the field on key areas of interest in campus safety and emergency preparedness. And each month, the topical focus of these questions changes, often mirroring the focus of our webinars and resources and or trends in the field. We also feature a toolbox on our website, which is a virtual library of tools that's developed by practitioners in the field, and that contains relevant resources pertinent to the needs of higher ed administrators and their partners as they engage in the process of planning. Within each drop-down category of the toolbox, you will find sample drills, tabletop exercises, job descriptions, memorandums of understanding with community partners, and much more. We welcome everyone on this webinar, as well as your colleagues, to submit additions to our toolbox via the toolbox submission form, which is available at the link that you see on your screen. And again, within our toolbox, we're really looking for tools that you use within your locality, your IHE, or your state that are truly working for you and that you want to share with others so that they can benefit in the way that you're benefiting. We also provide responsive technical assistance, which means if you have any specific questions, if you're looking for resources or need information, we're here for you, and we encourage you to contact us. You can contact us via email at info@remstacenter.org or by phone at our toll-free hotline, 1-855-781-7367, which is REMS. Via the website, you can also request TA. We have a TA request form, and you can always, of course, request TA via the community of practice, which we just provided an overview of, or by just sending us a message on Twitter, if you're on Twitter and following us, at REMS TA Center. And we always have staff available to provide direct support. So we encourage you to share this information with your colleagues or any new emergency managers who are just joining your campus for support. Please do let them know about us and that we are here to provide that responsive technical assistance support. Some of the select topics that we've already prepared resources for include, and this is just the select view, planning for mass immunizations, responding to missing persons, policies and procedures for student and faculty or staff travel abroad, releasing information to law enforcement based on FERPA, higher ed threat assessment trainings and resources, active shooter statistics and tabletop exercises, assistance related to writing EOPs, including annexes, which we did see a question about and we hope to address momentarily, opioid abuse and misuse, assistance with emergency management higher ed student research questions, and we had a chance to attend the FEMA's higher ed symposium at their Emergency Management Institute last month and had the chance to speak with a lot of students in emergency management, and so we often receive questions from them as well. Integrating human trafficking into EOPs, best practices for door security codes, as well as requirements mandated by the Clery Act and incorporating NIMS and ICS into a plan. So again, if you ever have a question, please feel free to email us. The DREW network was created by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Science and Technology Directorate, and it's managed by the University of Oregon. It's very likely that some of you who are tuning into this webinar are members of DREW, as we call it for short, or have heard of DREW before. And the goal of the DREW network is to facilitate open communication, discussion, and resource sharing among university and college practitioners of all areas of expertise. And the REMS TA Center is an active participant in the DREW network. We spoke at the 2018 DREW conference, and we, of course, are actively participating and responding to questions on the listserv. And again, if you're not familiar with DREW already, participants include university and college practitioners such as administrators, business continuity professionals, communications and media relations staff, emergency managers, environmental health and safety practitioners, general counsel, risk managers, student affairs and student life, and of course, public safety and law enforcement agencies. The REMS TA Center also offers a variety of opportunities for you to connect with us, both virtually and in person. and with other practitioners in the field beyond those that we've just talked about. And we do encourage you to follow us on Twitter at REMS TA Center for daily news and opportunities to connect. We did talk earlier about our REMS on the Road hashtag, and that's kind of where we share and we provide a glance of what we're doing in the field. And we do encourage you to also share any page on our website by using or selecting the social media share links that are available in the top header. We also prepare a quarterly newsletter, news and updates from the REMS TA Center, and we send it to more than 15,000 stakeholders in the field and provide our subscribers with information about the newest resources, recommendations, and guidance available through us, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Safe and Healthy Students, and our other federal partners in the field. Please visit the Request TA page to sign up for receipt of our quarterly newsletter, as well as occasional announcements that we send on new tools and information. You can also access archived versions of our newsletter via the Publications page, which is accessible via the Technical Assistance tab. And thank you so much for participating in this webinar, and I think I'm going to turn things over to Steve now so that we can close things up.
Thanks, Janelle. Did you want to say something about the web chat now? This would be your last chance to move to that slide, if so.
Yes, and before we do that, I was hoping that I could answer one question that we did see come up that was related to our annexes and the functional annexes that we have available on our website.
Absolutely.
I just wanted
Let me read that to you so that the folks who might not have seen it in the chat will know what you're addressing. Guest 2 says, I had asked, I see that the functional annexes and threat hazard specific annex tabs are not detailed. They provide only a paragraph or two. Where is more detailed information that can be used by our IHEs? He then goes on to say, or she, the toolbox examples provided focus on food defense and pandemic planning, civil unrest, flooding, fires, active threat, and severe weather seem very applicable. Are these available on the website?
They are, and thank you so much, Steve, for reading that question. And we do encourage, related to the threat and hazard specific sections and the functional annex sections of our site, we encourage everyone to actually download the full version of the Guide for Developing High Quality EOPs for IHEs. Within that guide, you will find full descriptions of the recommended threat and hazard specific annex sections of your EOP, as well as the functional annex sections of your EOP. And then we also have a ton of resources on how to develop annexes within the 6-step planning process that can be combined with the resources that we provide on specific threats and hazards. And all of those can be found on our topic-specific resources pages. We really we want to teach the process. That's the most important thing, so that IHEs really know how to create their own. So in a lot of cases, even for our sample annexes, you might see instructions or recommendations you can take to go about the process of creating your own. And then we do have a bunch of resources that can be consulted as you go about creating your own that are specific to threat and hazards that will impact your IHE, your state or your locality based on risk and vulnerability assessment. And thank you so much, Steve, for repeating that question. And we are going to be hosting a web chat. I'm so sorry, Madeline, did you have something to add?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to respond to the first portion of that question. I think I heard, Steve, you say that the person went looking in the website and was looking at the information on those hazards and threats and annexes, and they simply saw a paragraph. So this is, yeah. So basically, or to state it, that we've designed the website so it'll be user-friendly, easy to use, and good-looking on both a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, and a cell phone. So if you're seeing just a paragraph, you might want to make it smaller, your view percentage, or scroll down. So there's the introductory paragraph, and then you choose your direction if you're going to go in the K through 12 or higher ed. And then further down, you will see that there is a long list of resources, and they're divided into that before, during, or after they're using that paradigm of before, during, and after, we present a number of resources. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And the answer is scroll down and you'll find plenty.
A common answer to many internet-based questions. Janelle, I think as you were providing your answer, either that same person or somebody else logged in as a guest too said, can you provide the link to the more extensive information on that subject? You may have already answered that, but I thought I'd present it in case you wanted to say more.
What topic, please? What subject?
Not clear. It came in just as you were answering the question about what material, where to get more material that was about civil unrest, flooding, fire, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha. Well, one, again, you can call us, email us, or tweet us, and then I'm going to give the baton or the microphone to Janelle to give more information on where to access our fact sheets. But just so everybody knows, I am frequently receiving phone calls that go something like, I need this. And so I am very quick to use the search engine, and it's got those advanced search features, and I think it's very effective, so I highly recommend that as well. So Janelle, I'm going to pass it to you to give a more precise answer on the fact sheets and such.
No problem at all. And I have shared the link to our topic-specific resources section via the chat in the Adobe Connect room. And we do encourage you to visit that topic-specific resources section and to locate the resources on the particular threats and hazards that you asked about. You will probably need to take a look at the middle section that has specific details on hazards and threats, and we categorize those based on the type of threat. So you will see the 4 categories there of adversarial and human-caused threats, biological hazards, natural hazards, and technological hazards. So I know that you asked about a few different hazard and threat types there, so you will probably need to access the related category to check out the ones that you need. I've also provided a link to our publications page, which we are in the process of updating as we speak. And on that page, very soon, you will be able to access all of our resources and related publications, and they will be categorized based on fact sheets, guidance documents, helpful hints, success stories, and other categories to make that easier for you to access. Thank you so much, Steve.
And Janelle, do you want, before we close out, do you want to get to your information on the web chat?
Oh, can I just put in another little speech or statement prior to the web chat? Another reason I encourage folks to tweet us with that kind, if you know there's a specific resource that exists, tweet us, where can I find it? Because one, I'm just going to use Twitter as an example. Twitter offers you an opportunity to engage another portion of your community, and that being your students, your staff, whether they're on campus, off campus, or virtually participate. And then 2, the more you get that community accustomed to participating or engaging with you via, let's use Twitter as one example, the more likely they're going to go there for alerts, notifications, and updates before, during, and after a possible emergency. And then another reason, if you were to say, hey, at REMS TA Center, where do I find the guide, the IHE guide, question mark, and if we were to tweet back at you, now all of your followers could also find it. So if you were having a meeting with your provost, let's say, and there were leadership from each of the departments, and then there would be leadership from all of those other management functions within the IHE, such as operations and such, you could tweet, and now if they were following you, they would already have access to that guide, and it saved you some time and effort in terms of we always want to deliver that message multiple times in multiple ways. But also during an emergency, you and your partners, like the local law enforcement or local disaster emergency management, or even something very valuable is your local or regional National Weather Service, those tweets can all fall on that same feed, and you don't need a log on to see your Twitter feed or your membership. And then it's a quick load. And if your campus was shut down due to an emergency, you wouldn't have to reach out to the webmaster, hope they had a phone, and so on and so on. A number of people affiliated who have access to that password are able to log on and within a minute update their whole campus community. So that's just my little, I often promote the use of social media before, during, and after emergencies. It benefits you, but it also benefits your community. It focuses on engagement, but it becomes a protective measure. So thank you, Janelle. I'm going to pass it to you now to talk about our communities of practice.
Thank you so much, Madeline, and thank you, everyone, for your questions. And it sounds like, in case you have more questions, again, remember that we're always here for you. You can email us at info@remstacenter.org, and you can also join us right now on our community of practice. We will be there and for the next half an hour to answer additional questions that we were not able to get to. Again, thank you so much, and you can feel free to join us on the COP now or at any time, and we will be joining you via the IHE Public Forum. Once you're there, you can select REMS TA Center IHE Resources Web Chat, and then you can finally select Web Chat at 3 p.m. on 7/10/18. Join us, and we'll be right there in that forum waiting to answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
And I have a bit of trouble with my screen. Here we are. Sorry about that. Thanks very much, Madeline and Janelle, and thanks to all of our viewers and questioners from around the Internet. Check the NCCPS webinars page for a link to the captioned recording of today's presentation, as well as a link to our speaker slides. The brief evaluation survey I mentioned earlier should already be in your mailbox. It will take you no more than 2 minutes to complete. Please do. We read and act on your comments. The next Campus Public Safety online webinar will take place from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, August 14th, featuring Monty McKee, Philip Raymer, and Jennifer Skinner. Monty, Philip, and Jennifer are senior research associates with the Institute for Intergovernmental Research, and they'll be telling us about the nationwide Suspicious Activity Reporting Initiative. The registration URL is on your screen and clickable, or surf on over to the National Center webpage at nccps.org. That's at nccpsafety.org. That's nccpsafety.org. Campus Public Safety Online is brought to you by the National Center for Campus Public Safety, with support from the University of Vermont Continuing Distance Education and the U.S. Department of Justice. Special thanks today to Andrea Young and